ban abortion. He's lying.
Remember when they flipped out about
they released this thing, and that's on their agenda.
You remember when you like flipped out about the red lights, like when he gave the speech about warning about fascism, and then like you look at their plans and hey, that kind of looks like fascism.
I get it, Republicans. Your base is poorly educated, and they probably can't read, or they don't want to.
Yeah. Or they're working 3 or 4 jobs and they don't have time, or they're completely spaced out after they get home from a day of work because a lot of them are stupid, frankly, or they're belligerent, and a lot of them are just in spite they're being exploited too. They're being screwed over too, and they don't know it. I mean, we're all in that same situation.
Johnson, remember?
Yeah. Someone to look down on. They need someone to look down on. They absolutely do. And
they look down on women. They look down on the LGBTQ plus community as part of the destruction of society itself. Yeah. They look down on everyone who is not an evangelical Christian. And I'm singling that group out because you guys are fucking nuts.
Yeah.
And in the Catholics, you're not really that great either, but they're attacking you.
Yeah.
They're attacking, with what Trump was saying about the Catholics, and any Jew that votes Democrat is an affront to their religion. He's attacking these because that is what this is. That's what Christian nationalism is all about. Yeah. The nationalization of Christianity in this country so that Christian law is now American law. Mm-hmm. And every way in which they choose Christian, their evangelical Christian governance, that is how this country is going to be governed. Yeah. So when you look at it through that lens, everything they're saying makes perfect sense. Even the way that they are lying to your face while they're slipping that, note to you that says the exact same thing they're denying.
Yeah. And it really seems to me like they're lying about it less and less. They don't feel the need as much as they did even 8 years ago. They don't feel the need to cover it up as much. They're just more brazen about it than
because it's coming to fruition. This has been going on since the Council of National Policy in the 80s, with some of Reagan's cabinet as the founding members, and it's morphed over the years. And the Heritage Foundation and the Federalist Society and all those other groups, the Council for Growth.
I laugh whenever I hear that name. It sounds like a melanoma or something like that. The Council. It
sounds like the boardroom plaque that you would see on Cialis. That's where they do their board meetings.
Yeah, they do their board meetings in a circle of claw-footed tubs, out in a field somewhere. That's what they're doing.
But this is what they've been planning, and they have been working really hard. And since the Tea Party, they finally got these crazy evangelicals into major positions in office. That was their goal back then. And that is their goal today. And with Trump and the maggot cult coming into Congress and coming into our state houses and even into our schools as superintendents and running the PTA, mm-hmm. We have people in position, and that is what their goal is, to put people with evangelical Christian ideals in mind into political positions. They have the judges, mm-hmm. They have the Supreme Court, they have a portion of Congress, they have a bunch of states. They're ready. They're ready. They've been planning this since the 80s. They're ready to go.
By the way, do you think the Harper Valley PTA was run by Moms for Liberty?
You know what? Now you're making me curious. I need to look that up because I don't want to answer that and be wrong.
Okay, so there is an awesome song, an awesome country song from sometime in the 1970s. I'm pretty sure. I gotta look this up myself, but it's called Harper Valley PTA, and it's basically there's this single mom. And she's being called out for dating and wearing her shorts her skirts too short, and she like comes in like in this narration of this song, and she like calls out like every member of the PTA for their hypocritical bullshit. And it's like, there aren't too many country songs that I like, but that is an awesome one. And I hear that song in my mind, and I hear like the description of the hypocrisy that she outlines in that song. And I think to myself, yeah, that really sounds like Moms for Liberty. It really, really does. PTA. It's an awesome. I can't play it here for legal reasons, but I think I can read some of the lyrics. Yeah, Jenny C. Riley, 1968, actually. I want to tell you all a story about a Harper Valley widowed wife who had a teenage daughter who attended Harper Valley Junior High. And I know like there's actual music and song here, and I'm not doing it justice. Well, her daughter came home one afternoon and didn't even stop to play. She said, "Mom, I got a note here from the Harper Valley PTA." Well, the note said, "Mrs. Johnson, you're wearing your dresses way too high. It's reported you've been drinking and running around with men and going wild, and we don't believe you ought to be bringing up your little girl this way." And it was signed by the secretary, Harper Valley PTA. Well, it happened that the PTA was going to meet that very afternoon, and they were sure surprised when Mrs. Johnson wore her miniskirt into the room. And as she walked up to the blackboard, I can still recall the words she had to say. She said, "I'd like to address this meeting of the Harper Valley PTA." Well, there's Bobby Taylor sitting there, and 7 times he's asked me for a date, and Mrs. Taylor sure seems to use a lot of ice whenever he's away. And Mr. Baker, can you tell us why your secretary had to leave this town? And shouldn't Widow Jones be told to keep her window shades all pulled completely down? Well, Mr. Harper couldn't be here because he stayed too long at Kelly's bar again. And if you smell Shirley Thompson's breath, you'll find she's had a little nip of gin. And then you have the nerve to tell me you think that as a mother I'm not fit. Well, this is just a little Peyton Place, and you're all Harper Valley hypocrites. And I think, whenever I hear that, I think, yeah, that's Moms for Liberty. Like, those are the people who are running it. Because, not only do they want, are they, like, saying, oh, we got to ban this book, and we got to ban that book, and oh, my God, like, our children are being groomed. They're also, like, completely hypocritical because they're like having affairs and quoting Hitler and doing all sorts of nonsense. So that's what I think of. That's the rabbit hole that I go down. And if I have introduced anyone here, because I can't imagine that my audience is super like into country music, I hope to have provided a minor educational service as a part of Faceable America.
My mind just goes back to that conversation we had about goblin butts. And if you can find that at all sexually suggestive or arousing at any level, you need to seek professional help. No one is looking at that. No child, no adult. No. The person who published the book, the company that published the book, the artist, no one at any point looked at that and thought that was hot. But you did.
Yeah, that's right. So in an environment of hypercapitalism and Moms for Liberty and increasing like limitations on the rights of women and increasing limitations on what young people have in terms of the possibilities for their lives, you wonder why they're not feeling so happy in the United States of America. You wonder why. Gee, I have no idea. What could it possibly be? And this New York Times story, it says like, oh, well, we've never been in the top 10% in the United States. They've only had the survey since like 2011. Like, take it back to like the 70s and 80s before neoliberalism really got into like full gear. And you might have a different outcome to that. People in the United States, might be happy. They might have had like, a little bit of leisure time. Remember when people had the concept of leisure time and spending time like just like doing nothing or I don't know, silly things like playing golf or playing tennis or just like chilling out or taking a walk or something like that. And now what you're
You
supposed to
know,
do is fill your time with extra gigs, extra jobs.
yes. Yeah, as a child, yes, I grew up in Florida and it was convenient because it was only 3 or 4 hours drive. But still, that cost money.
Hmm.
We drove it.
Yeah.
We went to Disney World. We
Hmm.
paid all the money and, stayed in hotels and did all that stuff every year. Every year we did that.
Yeah.
I have yet, and it pains me because that is so much fun to go to a theme park. And
Yeah.
it pains me that I have yet to be able to afford to take my kids.
Yeah.
My
Yeah.
parents took me every year. Even after the divorce, we still went.
Yeah. No, I remember when we first went, I was stunned by like the prices back in the 80s. I think it was like, $50 to go to Disneyland or something. And the next time I went, it was like, oh wow, now it's $100. And my oldest, she at the time, and she has since renounced it because of the comments of J.K. Rowling, um, and her attitude of turfdom. But she was really into the idea of going to see the Harry Potter stuff at Universal the year that we lived in Florida about 10 years ago. And God, it was $200 like for each of us. And that
Oh,
didn't even count
wow.
the hotel. And we had, we did a whole special thing, but it was like, it's probably up to three now. It's just how, who are they serving?
Right.
I mean, we could like save up enough for that for a special like gift, and we're lucky to be able to do something like that. But my God, are they just like do like I guess there must be just like one percenters who go there again and again and again and who pay like $20 for a popsicle or something like that. It's
But
just, how
even
can they
even
live?
fast food, who do you think you're serving?
Yeah,
McDonald's is all upset because they lost their base. They took away their dollar
of
menu.
course.
That's who you were serving. You
Yes.
are not a restaurant.
Yeah.
Quit charging $15. I know that there are sit down restaurants that charge $15 for a burger. And it was made on, it's completely different than your McDonald's burger.
Yeah.
And I would happily pay that $15 for that restaurant burger, but I'm not going to do that at a fast food joint.
Yeah.
So who are they serving?
Yeah, they're not thinking about that. They're just squeezing as much as they can out of you by whatever means. And by the way, I remember what the size of the filet-o-fish patty was back in the 1980s. I that used to be my favorite thing to get there, and I went a couple of weeks ago, and it's half the size and twice the price.
Like a kid's size.
It is. It is. It's like here's a fish stick. We stick it between a couple of buns. It is like it is the most dramatic example of shrinkflation that I can think of. I mean, it's a little. It's not even a square. It's like a little rectangle. It's kind of like two fish sticks stuck together. That's about it. And then they're charging about $4 for it, which is like if you just get the sandwich. Oh my God.
Oh, and related but seems unrelated. I like that the attorney general is going after Apple. I like that anybody's going after
Yes,
Apple. Apple
yes,
has needed to
yes.
have its karmic debt paid for a long time.
$1,000,
However,
$1,000 for a phone, and you can tell
yeah,
me, oh no, they don't have a monopoly. They just have such a good product that like you get to pay $1,000 for a phone. My God.
yeah. And I am not an Apple user, never have been. I
Yeah.
like my Samsung. It is awesome.
Yep. Same here. Same here.
But I find it very disingenuous that at the same time, it has been all over the news that the people have been boycotting places like Kellogg's or companies like Kellogg's
Mm-hmm.
for, I don't know, trying to be Marie Antoinette, raising their